Hey there YouTube, Amateur Dabbler here. Hope everybody's had a great weekend. I know up until this point I've just been showing off how crappy my garden looks. But another thing that I'm interested in is cooking. So I plan on, once I get the garden up and running, doing some cooking videos as well, showing you how to cook food from your garden. But until then, I'll just show you how to cook stuff from the grocery store, because that's what I'm working with here. And today I'm going to make some tuna poke. It's a Hawaiian dish. It's basically a raw ahi tuna dish with some other stuff in there. Many different variations. This is going to be mine. I'm going to go ahead and readjust the camera right now, get things facing down towards my counter, and I'll go ahead and list off the ingredients right now for you as well. And I guess this is the first time you're seeing my face, so this is actually what I look like if you're interested. Okay, so first off, we're going to go ahead and make the marinade for the poke, and you can change this up a little bit if you like. This is just how I like to make mine. We are going to go in, the main ingredient is going to be soy sauce. Make sure you get a good quality one. I'm using a Japanese one here. Just make sure you're not using some cheap store brand. This is a Kikkoman. I'm not saying you have to use this one, but it is a good brand. It makes the poke taste wonderful, in my opinion. So we go in with a 1/4 cup of the soy sauce, and then 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. So there's 1 and 2. Go in with about a teaspoon of ginger, fresh ginger. I just pulled off a little thumb here. I'm going to go ahead and just grate in. It doesn't matter if you leave the skin on in this. Grate in just about a teaspoon of the ginger. Got that in. And I lost my sesame seeds here, so there they are. Teaspoon of toasted sesames. I just put these in a very hot skillet and just rolled them around in a frying pan for about 30 seconds till they got a little darker. Just released the oils. That's going to go in. And then about 2 tablespoons of crushed macadamia nuts. And then about 1/3 cup, or I would say probably 2 scallions or green onions, whatever you like to call them. And we're going to use the greens and the tops and the white for this. I don't know, I never really understood why people only use the greens in the recipes. I think there's a lot of great flavor in them as well. So 2 is good, depending on your size. I mean, if you've got really small ones, you may want to end up using 3. But what you're shooting for is about just right around 1/3 of a cup of the green onions in this. So bring the bowl back. Green onions are going to go in. And then we're going to add a little bit of heat to this as well. You could use some, just some cayenne. You could use some, if I can find mine. You could use some cayenne. You could use some fresh chili peppers, which I'm going to do. We'll just do like one Serrano. You can use a red Anaheim. Anything that's just got some little bit of heat to it. And we'll go ahead and just do a quick chop on this, seeds and all. And for this, I'll probably, depending on your heat level, you can go a whole one. I'm probably just going to stick with a half today. And just a nice little rough chop on that. Nothing fancy. Just so we get some heat with each bite. And this is the poke's going to marinate for a minimum of 2 hours. So the heat from the peppers will really get it into the fish. And obviously, if you don't like spicy food, go ahead and omit this. Maybe just use a teaspoon of paprika in its place, which would still give you that nice pepper flavor without the Scovilles, without the heat. So in with the Serrano. And the last ingredient is going to be some seaweed. This is just going to give that marinade an extra kick. You can get that. I picked this up at just my local Asian grocery store. If you're in an area that doesn't have one, you could pick this kind of seaweed up. This is black seaweed, probably from eBay, fairly cheap. This bag cost me at the market maybe $3. We're going to use a teaspoon of this. I'll show you what this looks like. Zoom in here a little bit. So just some black seaweed. It almost looks like black tea. And then we're going to use, I guess, about a tablespoon of this seaweed. You can measure if you want. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I would say that's pretty close to a tablespoon's worth. And we'll just go ahead and give this all just a quick whisk to marry all those flavors together. Obviously, you don't need any salt in this dish, but if you're using low sodium soy sauce or tamarind or something like that, you may end up needing to add a little bit of salt in at the end. Maybe sprinkle some sea salt over top. So go ahead and set your marinade aside, and you want to make sure that you're using fresh ahi tuna in this recipe as well. So if you can't, if you're unable to get fresh ahi tuna, this recipe is probably not going to be for you. But luckily, I am in a big enough city where I am able to get the ahi tuna. I picked this up from a place here we got in town called the Fresh Market. Very similar to Whole Foods. Just go ahead and lay these guys out. And this is these two steaks. This is about 1 pound worth. These are probably 5 or 6 ounce steaks. That's what you're looking for. And then we're looking to make these into about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch cubes. So we'll go ahead and first slice. And then we'll go ahead and turn here. Square this one off a little bit. And then what you're looking for is really probably just a half inch to 3/4 inch steaks. You don't want anything, or cubes, I'm sorry, you don't want anything really bigger than that. It'll be, the changes the texture, and it's just is not it's easy to eat. These ones here are a little bit too big for my liking. Gonna make these guys a little bit smaller. So your first cut should be also against the grain. So when you're cutting, you want to cut like this as opposed to cutting like that. Otherwise, your tuna is just pretty much going to fall apart on you. Go ahead and do this next guy. Go ahead and square that side up. And Yeah, and this is going to be a raw dish, so if you're squeamish against you know, sushi or eating raw fish, obviously this is not going to be for you as well. But in my opinion, this is delicious, and tuna is probably one of my favorite fish to eat. That or salmon. I think I like the fattier fish. You know, lots of, and this stuff's healthy too. Lots of omega-3 fatty acids in there, which is you know, if you're taking fish oil tablets, you can get it this way through Mother Nature, and to go into your system a lot better. So once we got that done, we are going to bring, sorry for being off camera here, and put everybody in the pool here. Yeah, and then the marinade's just going to go right on top here. And go ahead and just make sure that all the tuna here is evenly coated. And you're going to want to let this sit in the fridge for a minimum of 2 hours. I would say you could probably go anywhere up to 4 or 5 hours. I wouldn't go any longer than that. I'll probably let mine go for 2 hours before I come back to you. So we're just going to grab out some cling wrap. If I can get it to cooperate with me here. Just want to put this right on top of the fish, and 2 hours into the fridge, and we'll see you back then. Okay, so we are about 2 minutes away from the 2 hours that the tuna has been sitting in the fridge, and we're going to go ahead and get our garnishes together. I'm going to go ahead and slice a little bit of green onion, but for the garnish I'm only going to use the greens, but please do not throw away the white top. It's going to go back in the fridge, or you could freeze it and use it in vegetable stock or whatever. We don't need really a whole lot of the scallion for the garnish, so I'm not going to use this whole thing. I'm making up 2 plates here, but what I showed you really is going to be 4 servings worth. So we're going to have some lunch out of this tomorrow as well. I also got some of these heirloom cherry tomatoes. You could really use whatever you want to garnish this with. This is just what I've chosen to use, but you could use you know, edamame, or shaved coconut, or cilantro. There's a ton of things. You can get some Maui onions, which traditionally in a poke bowl has anyhow. But they are hard to get down here where I live in Southwest Florida anyhow. But it is a nice addition to add if you are able to get some Maui onions. Chop up these tomatoes here. Half or quarter them just so they're more of a bite size, and then we're going to go with 1 Hass avocado as well. Going to go ahead and use only half, and if you leave the pit in there, this will save for you nicely. It won't turn brown. For whatever reason, the avocado thinks that it's still whole, and be able to use it. Just going to make some, dice this right inside the shell, and then you could just take a small spoon and dig this right out, and it pretty much comes out already diced for you. That's the avocado. Now for the tomatoes, I am going to dress these just a little bit. Get some lime, which we are also going to use for a garnish as well. couple there for garnishing. Squeeze it on top, and it's quite delicious. So we're going to go into here with the tomatoes, half a lime, a little bit of freshly ground black pepper, a touch of sea salt, little shot of olive oil, and then if I can find it, we're going to put some soy sauce in here as well. So just a little, I don't know, maybe a quarter teaspoon of soy sauce, and that was probably half a teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil that I put in. You could use some rice wine vinegar instead of the lime juice if you wanted. I don't really see a need for it. And then we're just going to give that a quick toss to dress the tomato. And I will be right back in a second. We'll go ahead and plate up and take a taste of this stuff. Okay, so after 2 hours, this is what your ahi tuna is going to look like. It's got a nice sheen to it. We will just go ahead and give it a nice, just another quick toss here. Smells delicious. And for plating this up, I'm just going to go with some sticky rice. Go ahead and smash this down a little bit. And we'll go ahead on top. Remember, this is going to be 4 servings worth. So you want to make sure you're putting the appropriate amount on the plate. And make sure to get down to the bottom and grab some of the extra marinade that's down there. So there's 1 serving. We'll go ahead and put some of these beautiful heirloom tomatoes on there. A couple pieces of avocado. And then a few shallots. Then right before serving, we're going to go right on top of this with one of these wedges of lime. Let me zoom in here and get you a better view of the poke tuna. And then let me go ahead and adjust the camera. We'll go ahead and give this a taste. Okay, so now it's time to give this guy a try. Got it all plated up there. I'll go ahead and just grab one of the hunks of the tuna with a little bit of the rice in my first bite. So good. So that is my take on tuna poke. Hope everybody enjoyed watching the video. Hope you enjoy the recipe if you try it out. Thanks for stopping by, and hope to see everybody next time.